everybody, and welcome to Baseball by the Yard. This is Coach McCreary, and today's video post is for third base coaches and involves the positioning on various plays down near the third base area. Now, on a typical field, most third base coaches are going to be set up pretty much where the third base coaching box is, and there's a slight difference between the third base coaching box and the first base coaching box. In baseball, there really isn't much of a reason for that first base coach to really vary too far from that first base coaching box. He's pretty much going to stay in that one area, go to the bag every time that a runner is on the base to talk to him. But other than that, he really isn't going to move too much or stray very much from that first base coaching box. However, if you watch Major League third base coaches, often you will see a lot of movement out of that third base coaching box. And so this video is going to show you some scenarios in baseball where the third base coach is really going to be moving quite often at the Major League level. And I'll also explain why. The first scenario is going to be a ball hit down the right field line. So this is nobody on base, and in this case the batter is easily going to reach second base and might just have a triple. So the third base coach is going to put himself in a position so that the batter is going to be able to see him very clearly as he's rounding the bases. So what you're probably going to notice if you watch a Major League third base coach is that when the batter rounds first base and he's on his way to second, often you will see the third base coach move towards the outfield side of third base. The reason for that is he's putting himself in a better position to be seen by the runner. As the runner is approaching second base, if the third base coach is on the outfield side of third base, the runner approaching second base really does not have to turn his head very far in order to see the third base coach. Really, he can see him out of the corner of his eye. If he can do that, he's going to run faster because he doesn't have to have a big head turn that he would need if the third base coach was back in his normal position. If he is here, of course, that runner is really going to have to turn hard to his left with his head in order to pick up the coach. But of course, when he does that, often he will slow down a little bit, and of course he also takes his eyes off second base. So at the Major League level, the third base coach in this case will position himself as far back as he can beyond third base so that that runner has a very easy time seeing him and also keeping his eyes on the bag as well. Once that runner rounds second base and is approaching third base, you'll see the coach come back to third base to let that runner to either stand up or to get down on a slide. So in this case here, the third base coach will move back towards the outfield and then back to his original position along that line and really does not stay in that coaching box area on that particular play. The next scenario is when there is a runner on second base and there's a base hit to any place in the field. Now, in some cases, when there's a base hit, the coach at third automatically, right from the get-go, knows the guy's going to score easily. So when that's the case, he really doesn't have to move very far from that box in order to wave him home. But in some instances, it really is going to depend on how the ball bounces to the outfield, whether the outfielder picks it up cleanly, how strong of a throw, how quick of a throw he makes to home plate. And that's all the things that the coach needs to see. So in order to give him a chance to see the ball a little bit better and how the play develops, often you'll see on a base hit, a Major League third base coach will move down the line towards home plate in order to get a better view of the outfielder and how the play is developing. It also gives him more time to decide whether he should send the runner or not. So when the coach is in this position here, the runner comes around third base hard and he still has time to either hold him up or to continue sending him. So he can watch how the ball bounces, the transitions, how the outfield catches the ball, and so forth. If that third base coach stayed in this area here, as soon as that runner touches third base and passes him, it's all over. There's no stopping that runner once he passes you. So that is why the coach will position himself farther down the line towards home plate so that he stays in the field of vision of the runner and can either hold him up last minute or send him on depending on how the play develops. So in that scenario, on a base hit, the third base coach moves quite a bit along that dotted line from his original position down towards home plate. The third scenario is where a third base coach is really going to earn his money because there's going to be a lot of movement on this play. So this case has a runner at first base, and just like before, we'll say a ball is hit down the right field line once again. So easy double, possibly a triple, and there's a pretty good chance that runner on first base is going to score. So because he has multiple runners to deal with, the third base coach often will be seen moving quite a bit from that third base box. So in this scenario here, of course, he's going to see how the play develops so that he has more time to determine whether to send that lead runner or to hold him at third base. So in order to get more time, when the play develops, the third base coach will often move down the line towards home plate like before, and as the runner who was on first approaches third base, he can see the play develop and determine whether to send him or to hold him at third base. Now in this case here, as soon as he realizes that he's sending the runner, you will see the coach move very quickly up the line as he's waving them home so that he can get in that position behind third base so as to help the runner now approaching second base. When he does get behind third base, that gives a better viewpoint for the runner approaching second to wave him on, and then he, like before, comes back to the bag in order to tell the runner to stay up or to slide. So in that scenario there, as I said, that's where a third base coach really earns his money, because he is really using the full range of motion here along the third baseline to put himself in a position to help both runners throughout that entire play. Now, as a coach at third base, it's really important to get in the habit to get out of that coaching box and move back and forth like I showed in this video. However, your runners need to know where you're going to be. So if you are going to move back and forth like we demonstrated in this video, you want to practice it with your players so that when the game time comes, they know where you're going to be. Well, folks, this is Coach McCreary. Thanks for stopping by. For more tips in all areas of the game, go to baseballbytheyard.com. And I want to thank everybody for watching, and have a great day, everybody.